Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuation Podcast. Got a real fun show for you today. We're talking to Sam Hyun, one of the founders of 1587 Sneakers, which is the first Asian American owned and designed sneaker company here. I wear their sneakers all the time. They are the most comfortable sneakers, and I'm not just saying that because I'm going to be talking to Sam, but they are great. So I'm excited to bring you this episode today. I hope you enjoy listening to it. And as usual, thanks for listening. All right, and let me introduce today's guest to y'all. Today is Sam Hyun. Sam is an entrepreneur, co-founder of 1587 Sneakers and Apparel Company, was 2021's Boston Globe's Bostonian of the Year, currently Director of Government Relations for the Asian American Foundation, was former chair of the Massachusetts AAPI Commission. He's a keynote speaker, and there's so many other accolades and accomplishments. Hey, welcome to the show, Sam.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. We've been trying to do this for a little bit, but we're both so busy. It's kind of hard. But yeah, hey, and also we're recording early. This episode won't come out for a little while, but it is Martin Luther King Day today. So shout out to Martin Luther King Jr. What are your thoughts on? I think the importance of the black leaders in the civil rights movement can't be overstated. But you have any thoughts on Martin Luther King in this day?
Yeah, I quite frankly, the vast majority of the Asian American community wouldn't be in the United States if it weren't for the leadership and the advocacy of the civil rights movement. It doesn't do us any favors to not know the real history of how we got here, and especially given, his instrumental role in the passage of the Hart-Celler Act, which abolished the immigration quota system in 1965. I think it would honestly do us a lot of favors if we actually learned that history and understood how to pay homage and respect to those who paved the way for us to be in this country, and quite frankly, continue to fight alongside us.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important that we, don't just look at, Martin Luther King Day as a day off, but actually look at it as a day that's actually critically important to Asian Americans being here at all.
Yeah, super critical. Like the term Asian American wasn't even a thing until the 65, 67. Yeah. But yeah, so respect to Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement. Hey, we actually like to greet our guests in the Asian way. So it's a little in the, actually, are you on the East Coast or?
Yeah, East Coast.
Okay, so this might be appropriate. Have you eaten yet, Sam?
Yeah, I have my dinner ready to eat right after we get off
Okay.
the pod.
Okay, so we gotta get through this quick so it doesn't get cold. Appreciate you for coming on. Can we dig in your roots a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born just out in Boston, Massachusetts. Lived there for the vast majority of my life. The only time I didn't live there was when I was in college and out in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and then for the past, a little over a year, I've been living down here in DC.
And roots go back to Korea?
Yeah, my parents both are from Korea. My mom from Busan and my dad is from Seoul, and then both immigrated to the U.S. and then was born here in '91.
Is there a large Korean population in Boston? I don't know the area that well.
Yes and no. A lot. It's very very transient city, given that it's a college town, and so there's a lot of professors, a lot of college international students, but it's decent, like sizable Korean community out in the burbs, but not much in the city.
So growing up, were you one of many Asians in your classes at elementary school, middle school, or were you kind of more of a one out of three or something like that?
Yeah, it was more like one out of three. The demographics of where I grew up has changed, where it's more Asians for sure. But I got my Korean community, I think how a lot of Korean Americans do, which was at church and Korean school. But it was difficult because I think all of us were growing up in neighborhoods where there weren't a lot of us. And so I got a lot of my Korean cultural like learning from actually like K dramas and reading, just like reading about like historical figures. And so I've always like had this like deep sense of pride of my Korean heritage.
if we saw a 10-year-old Sam Hyun, would we see any inklings that you'd be an activist or a motivator, speaker, or anything?
I don't know if you can tell that from any 10-year-old, but, I think I always actually, I'm gonna take a step back and say I was actually the kid that the teachers would always have, meeting with the or, like, helping support kids who had different, challenges and needs. I think I was, kinda showed a lot of empathy and compassion from an early age, and that part of me has changed.
Cool. Uh, how about sneakers? Were you into sneakers as a kid?
Yeah, no, my favorite sneaker, I can still think about it to this day, was, one of the T-Max. It was, like, the all white with the blue stripes. So when I was younger, I actually used to design and, like, just sketch out sneakers, cars. Yeah, I just have my own imagination, would just kind of, run, and I would just sketch out a lot of stuff when I was a kid in school.
Okay, okay, so the pieces are fitting together a little bit here. So you go to college and study history, and then go on to grad school and start doing public policy and business administration. What was the plan? What was the plan after college?
If I'm being totally honest, the plan was to run for office. Running for public office was something that I had worked towards for, the better part of 10 years. But I found that, in this time right now, like, we don't have infrastructure. It
Mm,
doesn't matter if one person gets elected, and of course it's amazing to celebrate folks, such as like Andy Kim becoming a US senator is a monumental moment, an incredible feat. And then you have, Mayor Wu, you have Mayor Purval, you have Mayor Harold, you have all these incredible Asian American mayors, and our congressional delegation has grown, but we still don't have a robust infrastructure that
mhm,
allows for more folks across the board to go into elected positions, but also in terms of staffing, and
mm.
support in the entire infrastructure of, American politics. And so I felt like it was more important for me to, I think, use the knowledge and relationships that I have to go to a place like TAF, and build out that infrastructure so that we have long lasting, success and accomplishments.
Yeah, yeah. I had a chance. Mayor Michelle Wu came out to San Francisco to do a little talk, and I got a chance to. I didn't meet her, but she gave a talk, and it was a pretty intimate gathering. But I was really impressed with her. Like, really, I'm a huge fan of Michelle Wu. I wish San Francisco had a Michelle Wu out here.
Yeah, she's a one of one. I've had the honor of having, worked for her, and then, been very close with her for many years, and she's exactly who you see on screen as you see off screen. And like her dedication to the community, but also to the city of Boston, right? I think people sometimes don't realize when you're a person of color, and you're also, also a woman of color, especially, it's hard enough just centering your entire, agenda and your mind and your heart towards serving the city and leading the city, especially a city like Boston. And then you're also given the responsibility of then also being the face and to be a leader for the Asian American community and be the first. So I think people don't always understand the magnitude of what she has to really hold and as she's thinking through decisions. And I wish there was a little bit more empathy and grace given towards her.
Okay, and a mom too, right? She's raising kids. It's crazy. Yeah.
Just had her 3rd child, baby girl Mira, just like about a week ago.
Oh man! All right, so more respect out there to Michelle Wu. I would love to hear her speak anytime I can get. I'd love to hear her speak. All right, so you're doing public policy stuff. You're doing some advising. You're doing some speaking. When did 1587 come to be, or what was it? When did you meet Adam King and Jose Vargas and your other co-founders?
Yeah, no, I actually known Adam's dad for, almost a decade. He's one of the most well-respected, leaders in healthcare and the diabetes space. So, shout out to Dr. King. Ironically, his name's Dr. King. Um, and then Adam reached out after, reading my interview when I was Bostonian of the Year when I said one of the quotes I said was, "I want Asian Americans to be unapologetically ourselves." and he reached out and we were talking, and I had definitely some questions for him. I wanted to know what his vision was in terms of leadership, management, culture building. What is his overall goal and desire for a brand, especially one that's representing our community? I wanted to make sure that we were on the same wavelength and had the same general like ethos in terms of like what we wanted this brand to be, because I didn't want to build a brand that was taking advantage of um, our identity and using it to enrich ourselves. Like that to me was something that I would want
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to be a part of. But
Yeah.
um, Adam is definitely someone who has a unique lens that I think we should all really try to model ourselves after in terms of management and leadership.
Hmm.
Um, and I think we have a general misconception that leaders are just the ones who are the most charismatic, outgoing, chest thumping, hyper masculine. But the reality is leadership can often be very quiet. And the way that he views management is, if the team that he's leading does well, it's because everyone on his team killed it. If they don't do well, it's because he mismanaged them and he was a poor leader. And
Uh,
to have that mindset and take accountability for yourself, I'm like, this is a guy that I can build with, and this is someone that I want to build with,
yeah.
and we need more leaders to have that type of mindset.
Yeah. And he had a little background in sneakers, right? He had started up some other sneaker companies.
He had a long, like huge back, 20 years.
Okay.
Reebok, Pollo, Adidas, and then his own brand. So, and he had run the gamut in terms of, the different types of roles that he had at these brands. So he brought 20 years of invaluable experience, on top of us being a, top tier human being.
Okay. Okay. So you weren't super worried about the sneaker part of it. You were just more interested in, can we work together? Is this the brand that we want to build together?
Yeah, I thought the sneaker stuff, the company itself and what it was gonna be was gonna work itself out, but I thought figuring out if this is somebody that I wanna partner with was incredibly important. And it's easy for things to go well when all the, circumstances are at its peak. But what happens when it gets hard? What happens when it gets challenging? What happens when you get presented with a difficult problem, and how do people react?
Hmm.
That was something that was really important to me.
Yeah. All right. So if you don't know, if it hasn't popped up on your Instagram feed yet, 1587 is the first sneaker brand in the US that is owned, designed, and inspired by Asian American culture, empowering Asian Americans to be unapologetically Asian. The stuff is great. If you haven't if you haven't seen it, like I got a pair of sneakers. I was kind of like you someone recommended that I talk to you guys like over a year ago, and I said, well, I don't want to talk to anyone that I don't believe in their product, or I haven't bought it myself. So I was kind of hanging on the outskirts. And you probably heard this story that people are looking at the price point and we're kind of like, "Ooh, I don't know. I'm not really that into shoes." But then you came out with the Sumo Black line that's a little different price point. And so I got a pair, and I got to tell you, I'm never going back, man. Most comfortable shoes, like out of the box, the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned, and they look great. And like I think you've said in some reels, just wipe them with the wet paper towel, and you're good to go. Like you don't have to do anything to them.
Exactly. I think it was important to us to like our product better be, top of the line, especially like, we're out there we're the first Asian American sneaker brand. So we were like very like got into like the granular details of like the stitching and like, the product and what we're putting out there and I'm like, if I'm putting my name on something, like I'm not just gonna slap my name on anything and just walk away from it. I'm gonna get into the details and make sure that it's actually worth what we say it is.
Yeah, and so what's the secret? The Italian leather, is that in the design, of course, but what makes them so comfortable? They're so great.
Yeah, I mean, it's Italian, and this is where Adam's relationships in 20 years in the sneaker industry are so important, right? Is that where we get it manufactured? Like these are people that he had been working with for years, and he treated them extremely well, and so that gave us the ability to be able to work with folks who have been veterans in this space for a long time to take a chance on us who are starting a new brand. And so if he wasn't good to them for 20 years, and we want to be here with the type of quality that we have.
Yeah. And it's gonna sound like I'm just making this up, but I swear to you, I put them on and I wore them to work. And on the first day, two different people. Like I wasn't like putting them in people's face or anything. I was just wearing them. Two different people said, "Hey, those new shoes," or "I like your new shoe." You know, they just made comments automatically. Like they're not even like fashionistas or anything. They just noticed these shoes pop out at people.
They're a conversation starter, right? And the other
Yeah.
part about it is the story of
Uh huh.
1587, the significance of that year to our community. One, I think we're also in a way educating some folks in our community and outside the community, but also it gives you something real to talk about,
Yeah.
gives you a sense of pride. So like with every step that you take, like you're representing our community in a way that we haven't been celebrating for the vast majority of our time in this country.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So 1587, not gonna lie, I had to look it up, but you want to tell us about the significance of 1587?
Yeah, 1587 is actually the year that the first Asian is documented to have stepped foot in what is now known as North America. It was a
Mm,
Filipino off of a Spanish boat in what is now known as Morro Bay. And for us, it signifies that whenever people tell us to go back to where you came from, that you don't belong here, that we've been here just as long, if not longer, and
yeah,
you don't get to tell us that anymore.
yeah, no, it's great, and yeah, you branched out now to do apparel too, and I love the shirts. I have to admit, I kind of dropped the ball. I had a chance to interview Connie Chung, and we were talking about the shirt, but I forgot that it was you guys that made that shirt. So you have different T-shirts, one with Connie Chung's face, iconic for the Asian American Journalists Association. You have a lot of cool designs, like super local stuff, Canal Street stuff. You have some Boston stuff. What else you got on the apparel stuff?
Yeah, so we have our new sweatpants that we came out with. So we've had hoodies for a while, but we've also added sweatpants to include into it. So we got our hats. We have our unapologetic hat. We try to do different drops with different people. We got a couple different things coming out that we actually delayed the release of it out of respect for the folks who are suffering right now in LA due to the wildfires. We didn't feel like it was appropriate for us to be out there promoting our brand when people have lost everything, and so we actually delayed some really big announcements. Because to us, taking a financial hit is nothing compared to what the people in Los Angeles have lost. So we just wanted to be respectful to them and said like this is an easy call to delay.
Yeah, like we said before, we're recording on January 20th, so it's still super fresh in our mind. Even though this episode is going to come out later, our thoughts go out to you folks in LA. Hopefully, safe and sound, and hopefully getting back to normal as much as you can be. But yeah, so famously, you guys got called onto Shark Tank. How long into the process? Like, were you a year old, or how long were you into the process before you got the call to go on Shark Tank?
Um, we found out. I would say, I mean, we recorded in April and of 2024. So we that started sometime in 2023. It was like a months long process. Um,
Hmm.
so we were a year and a half in.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and I think it was possible, honestly, because for the same reason why we were told we were crazy. And people told us we were crazy for starting an Asian American sneaker brand.
Hmm. Were you at all surprised that they didn't want to buy in at this point, or was that kind of in your mind? You're like, well, that's probably expected. Like in a way, they weren't ready. Yeah, and that was that your assessment of it.
I think there were only a couple people that we thought were potential investors, but also, this is where I need to take accountability. I didn't fully articulate well like our vision in terms of where they got hung up was when I started talking about retail. And I think they
Hmm.
thought that we wanted to move into brick and mortar and go into
Brick and
retail,
mortar.
which is not the case. And part of the challenge is that it's not really a conversation. They're just kind of peppering you with questions.
Yeah.
And you have to respond on the fly, and you have no idea what they're going to ask, and you have no idea when they're going to move on. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for us, it was important to us that we just presented ourselves in the way that we wanted to be presented, and we can only
Hmm.
control what we can control. But I felt really good about how we conducted ourselves on that stage, and there were definitely some things that I hoped that they were going to air that they chose not to.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess when I watched it, I kind of felt like they just didn't get the market, I guess. Like they were kind of thinking about, well, what kid in Iowa is going to want to buy this shoe, or I don't know. I think they didn't totally understand the market power that Asian Americans have right now, and I don't think a lot of people do. If you look at advertising, there's not a lot of people. You see it a little bit more now in advertising, but what do you think besides the retail stuff? Do you think they underestimated the market?
Oh, 100%. And I think part of it is a lot of these companies undervalue the Asian American market, and the consumer base because they don't realize that they've been marketing to us all wrong. They half-ass things. They just slap on some, sticker or, write boba and expect us to
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
suck it up and just give them all of our money when we're one of the most intelligent and caring and thoughtful consumer markets in the world.
yeah.
And, when 15% of all sneaker sales are Asian American, when our buying power is approaching $2.3 trillion, the way that I just see these brands that are other sneaker brands, like making these Year of the Snake shoes and just it's like they had like a 15-minute meeting and threw out an idea and they figured that we would just all line up and camp outside for those sneakers.
Yeah.
And I think that in general, like we're extremely underestimated and still that mindset that we're just followers is still stuck in
Mhm.
the minds of many people. And I would also say including our own community.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm up here in San Francisco, but I look jealously down at LA and see the Dodgers loading up on Asian talent, and I'm thinking, did the Giants not realize that the Bay Area is full of Asians that are dying to root for an Asian baseball player, Asian basketball player, whatever, And I think a lot of America is just not really understanding, like what you just said, that we're a huge force, that we have power with our wallets and with numbers. And I just think people aren't quite getting it yet. But
I mean, we're the
so,
fastest growing racial demographic in the country. We're at nearly 9% of the US population. At some point we're gonna surpass the other communities of color in terms of population size.
sure.
More and more of us are entering and breaking barriers and entering spaces that we haven't engaged in before.
Hmm.
And, my thing is like keep underestimating us, right? And I remember like people told us like we were crazy for making a brand that was, catering specifically to the Asian American community, that was being unapologetically Asian American. But my thing to them was just watch,
Yeah.
and look what happened, right? We're on the Katie Fang show. We've been on the front page of the Boston Globe. We've been on Shark Tank. We've had multiple different celebrities just reach out and just celebrate. It's not because we're not paying them.
Right.
It's not like we're paying them. We
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
afford to. But we're getting all this support from being, a very, nascent stages of a brand. And that's because we're being ourselves and we're not apologizing for who we are as Asian Americans, and we just have total confidence in our community and our culture.
Yeah, no, I love it. Off the top of your head, do you have any numbers in your head, like uh kind of who your customers are, like men versus women, age, or anything?
Yeah, we actually, definitely lean more towards men, although we are unisex and we definitely, wanna make sure that we're celebrating women as well. But about approximately 30% of our customers are non-Asian, and that's with us not even, like, trying, like, we're not even, like,
Right.
push. So what does that tell you? It tells you that people really want to get more into Asian American culture and consume it and learn and appreciate and celebrate it. We just have to give them a chance and give them something to celebrate us for.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I am happen to be rocking my 1587 Lunar New Year of the Snake hoodie. This thing is great, man. I've been living in this thing, so comfortable. But again, this episode's coming out in February, but you should still have the stuff online, right?
Yeah, yeah, we should.
All right, so if you want to get a snake hoodie, snake pants as well, you got a Year of the Snake
And you
sneaker.
pair that with this unapologetic hat, and you're looking real smooth.
Yeah. All right. So everyone go to the website. You can find it really easy. Just Google 1587. It'll be the first thing that pops up. Yeah, high quality stuff, different price points. It's kind of interesting. So you started out with shoes only made in Italy, and you can find it online, but it's 200 something for a pair of sneaks. But then you actually branched out into Asia, and you have some shoes that are made in Asia that drops almost $100 or more off the price.
Yeah, so we want to start in Italy because at the end of the day, they are still the premier manufacturer with the top quality leather in the world. But also, we wanted to explore other markets. Just the economics of everything works a little bit differently. But the reason why it took us a little bit longer was one, we wanted to firmly establish ourselves that we are a luxury good, a luxury sneaker.
Hmm.
But well, also we wanted to make sure that we found the right factory and the right partner.
Yeah.
And so that takes a little bit of time and negotiation and figuring out what works. Especially when you're a smaller brand in Asia, they don't accept small batches. It's large
Yeah.
quantities, and so we had to get to a place where we had the money to do so. So I think it's important for people to understand, like, you don't just it's not just, oh, we chose to go with Italy because we prefer Italy over China. It's more of you have to figure out, who's going to be able to work with you and what makes the most sense for you at this particular stage that you are in your company's lifespan.
Yeah. Okay, but the quality is still super, super high. The fit, so everyone go check it out. Get your Lunar New Year stuff. Not too late, even in February. The website should still have it. Final thoughts on what you want my audience to take away from this company.
Um, if anything, I just want everyone to be able to dream outside of what you've been constrained to do and boxed in and being told that what Asian Americans can and can't be. I'm someone that spent a decade in politics, and yet here I am, co-founding a sneaker brand.
Mm,
So for all the folks who thought that you had to live a certain way or pursue a certain career and stay in a certain lane because that's all we're allowed to do, I want people to dream outside of that, and especially to the youth, but also to the people that are well established in their careers. That it's not too late to pivot. It's not too late to bet on yourself and always to be unapologetically yourself.
yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Sam, you've survived our difficult questions. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First thing that pops in your mind. What's your favorite Asian, besides 1587, what's your favorite Asian brand? Could be food, cars, whatever you want.
My favorite Asian brand. I'm gonna do a couple that I wear every day. I have my
Sure.
my jewelry that I wear, which is Lupin and Nunchi. So it's a combination of both two different brands, Nunchi and Lupin. I wear Aloria as my cologne. And
Uh-huh.
then I also use Good Light for my skincare.
All right. What person, celebrity, or politician, anyone, what person would you love to see wearing a pair of 1587 sneakers?
All of them.
Yeah. Good answer. Get one for everyone.
I had to give one. I can't because they're gonna get a pair.
Okay, okay. Well, coming soon. Watch the Instagram feed. You'll see it come on online. I would love to see maybe Olivia Rodrigo. I think she'd rock it really good, I think.
Yeah, she'd be great.
Yeah. All right. If 1587 was a line of cars, what company would you say is the closest to what 1587 is?
Lexus or Genesis.
Okay. I was gonna go accurate. Yeah, I was gonna go because it's a luxury brand, but super functional, right? Super
Yeah.
functional. All right, and we're gonna end with our signature question. We like to ask our guests who their infatuation is. Infatuation is anyone in the Asian community that you admire. Could be someone you know or someone you admire from afar, living or deceased. So, Sam Hyun, who is your infatuation? You could pick more than one if you want to.
I'm gonna give two answers real quick. One, I think is someone that often doesn't get celebrated, but really should, is Patsy Mink.
Yeah.
Patsy Mink, who is the first woman of color to be elected to the U.S. Congress, has
Hmm.
passed extremely monumental and critical legislation, like Title IX, for example.
Yeah.
And so we need to celebrate her and demand that she is. The second answer is I want people to reframe what they think leadership is. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but there's so many of our leaders, whether it's nonprofit folks, people that are behind the scenes, that have kept our community afloat, and brought us to this place that never gets celebrated and have their stories be told. So whether it's organizations like AAJC or it's AAJA, the PABA, SACE, like there's just so many different, NAPOV, so many different nonprofit leaders that are doing extremely important work, but don't get celebrated to the same degree that some of the larger organizations like other communities do. So I just want people, to do their homework and figure out who are these local organizations in your community that have been doing really critical work, and that we all go out and try to celebrate them more.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. All right, everyone out there, you can follow 1587 at 1587 Sneakers on Instagram and most social media. And then, of course, 1587sneakers.com. You can follow us over at Infatuasian Podcast on Instagram and social media. And you can write us an email at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for coming on, Sam. This is really fun.
Thanks for having me, and really appreciate the work that you're doing to uplift our voices.
Sure. And I saw you did a little crab fishing when you came out to San Francisco a little while ago. So yeah, next time you come out here, let me know. We'll go to the beach. We'll do some crab
Sounds good.
snaring.
Love that. Love it. I had a great time, so I'm down to do it.
Yeah, and you get to eat it, man. That's the best part.
For
uh,
sure.
all right, everyone out there. Thank you so much for listening. Go support our guests and all their products over at 1587. So on behalf of Sam and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. Thank you again for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.